Ravish, you guys are growing at 300% in the SaaS space. And even when the market economy is down, and you guys are trying out interesting channels, interesting formats for demand generation. And I wanted to today understand a little bit about the new influencer marketing piece that you guys are trying. I know that you guys are investing money, so there's a lot to learn for us. So the first question that I have is, are you guys investing in a podcast, newsletter, or any other form of influencer marketing?
Yeah, sure. So, Saunak, we the last couple of months tried this new channel of working with influencers. The idea was to, get in front of our audience and use a trusted voice that our audience already trusts and listens to, engages with. So, we, from our end, or any company would already be doing, cold outreach through emails, running advertisements on like LinkedIn, Google, or whatever, or doing events, and all of them have their own ROIs and challenges. And then there's this new channel of influencers, who might be using different mediums to connect with their audiences, such as newsletters or podcasts. So we gave it a shot in the last couple of months. And in our, Lenny, Akash, Bandan, and a couple of others, Elena Verna, you know, these were like a couple of influencers we tried working with to, get us in front of our audience.
All right. So I wanted to understand from you that there are already existing channels that you guys are successfully running campaign on. Could be cold email, paid ad, even. Why try a new channel?
Well, I think for that, I would go back to the wisdom from a lot of growth marketers out there. I recently heard Sean Ellis, and they recommend experimenting rapidly and, experimenting a lot, because for a small startup, you can't say that, channels are exhausted and audience is limited. So we need to keep trying new things, new places, new ways to get in front of our audience. And in this case, influencers were something we haven't tried. So we picked up that experiment. What would be the ROI? How much would you invest for any experiment? But yes, you should do that due diligence, but do not, like, unless you try, you wouldn't even know for yourself how would the experiment work for you, or how would a channel work for you, right? Yeah. So that's where we went ahead with, you know, collaborating with some influencers and getting in front of our target audience.
Right. So I wanted to understand a little bit about the playbook you guys did to actually operationalize. I understand the motivation. So could you give us some steps that you guys followed?
Yeah. So primarily, like, first we wanted to understand, like, what to expect. Should we directly expect revenue out of a new channel? Should we expect awareness? So we went ahead with a mix of both, primarily awareness, because a large part of the audience follows one particular influencer. Even if we get in front of that audience somewhere down the line, if not now, that awareness might help us when that people in that audience are looking for a solution like us. And especially in our case, another thing is that we are operating in a problem aware, solution unaware space. Like, everybody has the problem that we solve, but people are still getting, or not aware about, they're not aware about that the solution exists. Thanks to AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT, the doors have opened a bit on the trust with AI being able to solve these kind of problems. So things have gotten easier slowly, but yeah, making people aware of a solution is one of the uh, things we want to do. And yes, that was the major part of the goal, like making people aware and then tracking pipeline over a long term, like couple of months. Like, taking an example of product managers, there are a couple of product voices in the community. So yeah, we identified a few influencers first and then started engaging with them on what the offering is, how many followers they have. So we have this like 5-point checklist in evaluating influencers. The first is like Let's take an example of our audience. So product managers is the audience we are looking for, getting awareness in that audience, like making them aware about our product, right? So does this influencer have a lot of following in product management community? And some of these questions are publicly available. You can see the kind of people reacting, following, commenting, but otherwise you can ask the influencer himself or herself as well. So yeah, is there a target audience overlap? Are these the audience product managers? Does it align with us? That's the first. Second is the engagement part of it, which you can typically measure by if it's a newsletter, you can ask for open rates, click-through rates, right? If it's some other form, like let's say if it's a podcast, you could ask for ratings, typical downloads per episode. If it's a social media influencer, you can check their engagement rate publicly. Besides that, you can see what their following is, what is the follower distribution, and so on and so forth. So there are various benchmarks depending on the platform your influencer exists on, and you can get this matrix either yourself or from the person. Then, so third is like, okay, now let's talk shop. What are the pricing tiers? What are the options? How would the ad be? How would the message be shared? So yeah, and if those pricing makes sense for the amount of people we are reaching out to, right? So if it's like $50,000 for maybe 1,000 listeners, that doesn't make sense, right? Even if it's like a high ticket product and the audience is also decision makers, it's a very high pricing. So and depending on the budget also that you have, of course. So yeah, have those conversations. What are the sponsorship options? What are the pricing tiers? And like, can we afford it? Fourth is, okay, how would you track that performance? Will the person be willing to share the performance numbers with you? Besides that, if you're in the marketing collateral that you're sharing in the ad, is there a landing page which you can measure the traffic on? So I'll give you a more specific example over here. Like in case of Lenny, a lot of the advertisers have a dedicated landing page. For example, if Google is advertising, so it will be google.com/Lenny. Typically people or marketers use UTMs, but I don't know, I've seen this trend somehow, especially with podcast. Even Tim Ferriss, if you listen to, a lot of their ads have a landing page which calls out their name. If not, then there's a coupon code. If it's a product that can be bought instantly, then there's a coupon code which you can use through which the advertiser can track performance. Okay, how many leads, how many purchases did the ad generate, or how much traffic did it generate, right? So this was the fourth point about how would you track performance? Is there viability? Like, is there possibility of tracking performance through the channels the influencer is operating in? It's very critical to later understand the ROI of your investment. And then, yeah, fifth is, of course, if there's some sort of exclusivity, embargo, or like, something special that, you can get or the audience can get and you can get as well through this collaboration. Yeah, those are like 5 things you have to question and try to answer for yourself while collaborating with an influencer to understand if it's a good fit to proceed with that engagement or not.
I'll just ask, just to add a little tadka of practicality. Would you be comfortable sharing how much you guys spent, just to make it more specific?
Yeah. So I'll take an example of Lenny, and his pricing is public. I can get it easily. So in case of Lenny, it goes in the range of 10 to 20,000, depending on which position you are advertising on. And then but the audience in case of Lenny is also very large. If I were to give rough estimates, he has around 650,000 subscribers on the newsletter, 200,000 followers on Twitter, another 150,000 on LinkedIn. This is a huge audience in a particular niche. But then I'll also give a contrasting example of lesser popular influencer. In that case, the audience was in 10 to 20,000 range and their pricing was $500 per ad, right? So That's the contrast in pricing.
All right. So I wanted to know a little bit about the exact message that you guys used in the mid roll or the at the front or at the back of the podcast.
So it was a 45 to 60-second ad. We gave the copy and some graphics for it. But then in case of Lenny, like, he works with an agency who create a video out of it. So the heavy lifting is done on his end. He invests a lot of time in his ads, and that's why people appreciate the ads as well. There was a tweet like, come for the episode, stay for the ads. And yeah, so there's a lot of investment that he does or his agency does, right? But we just provide like a 1-minute script talking about our product. And if we have any graphics, we don't need to create an extended video or we don't have to invest too much time. In case of other smaller influencers, yes, we created the entire graphic. They just paste it as it is in the newsletter. So we have to give them the CTA, the graphic, the URL that, it lands on when you click on the graphic. Yeah.
Just to make it more specific and actionable, if one of our audience wants to really replicate it, do you have the copy of the exact message that you sent to Lenny? What sort of call to action did you guys have? Was it like a very hard call to action to book a demo, or was it a soft call to action, like just explore Enterpret or something in between?
So in our case, it was a landing page, and the call to action was to book a demo. I mean, on the landing page, there was a form, and in the audio, which is heard in the ad, it was get in touch. I would say, the call to action was book a demo, or get in touch.
And in the message, did you guys talk about the problem Enterpret is solving, or mostly the solution part, that we had this feature where a product manager can quickly get voice of customer? It's more solution centric or problem centric?
See, you have to actually, an ideal script goes through both of them. You first have to talk about the problem. Why should you even continue listening? Why should a person even continue listening? And if they connect with the problem, they'll continue listening and want to land at the solution. So I wouldn't say it was centric to any particular thing, but it talked about for the problem first, and then what we do and how do we do it? How is it better than what they currently do? Yeah. So it covered all the aspects of problem as well as solution.
Yeah. Only caveat being, in case everybody knows the problem, then directly talking about the solution and what are the differentiating feature would be, because everybody knows that they need an email automation software. All right. Moving on, last step, which is how did you guys measure attribution?
Yeah. So there's every time the ad goes out, one went out yesterday, the traffic numbers just shoot up. But anyway, like besides traffic, we do get signups. After every episode, there are, tens of signups that come in. These are meetings booked. And then, of course, then it's a sales-led motion. So it takes a couple of weeks to move down the sales funnel. But yeah, we measure attribution because there's a dedicated landing page. We are able to see the traffic that came on that page over time and the number of people that signed up to talk to us.
All right. So this is great. I think a lot of the demand gen teams are having established channels, as you mentioned, can add an experimental channel, because you never know, the experiment channel might get the best ROI. And once that ROI is proven, that can be brought as a part of the traditional channels. I think that would be the approach. I think what I was initially thinking, that to measure it with email, measure it with ad, or for that matter, any traditional channel. I think one of the takeaways for me would be to not think that this will be competing with traditional channel. Let it work as an independent experimental channel. If it showed promise, then you bring it and double down, triple down on that. Okay, so that would be a very good insight.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to continue experimenting to figure out what else can work for you. How else can you generate pipeline or, generate brand awareness?
Yeah. So cheers to experimentation.